Hello and welcome to the inaugural edition of the Ice Dice Board Game Show. My name's Evan and this is Mike.
Hello!
And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 games of 2014. I do have a couple things to say before we get started.
Okay.
One is I think it's actually kind of difficult to do games of the last year because it's based on their release date worldwide, and they're not always available in the United States. There are Essen releases I still have not played. But there's not much we can do about that, so this is now April, and we're going off what we have played. The other thing I was going to say is that the way we did this is we each came up with our own independent top 10. We used a point system and combined them. We also had each person look at the games that are not on their list but were on the other person's and give them a rating, and we gave points for those. And so this is our combined top 10. And to start with, it's going to be honorable mentions, which are the ones that were on one of our lists but didn't make the combined top 10. So we start out with an honorable mention for Mike. One Night Ultimate Werewolf. It comes from Bezier Games. It's Ted Alspach of Suburbia fame. 3 to 10 players. 10 is a lot of players. And it says it only plays in 10-15 minutes. Villagers versus Werewolf.
Yes.
So how's the game actually played?
Well, people are assigned roles, either villagers or werewolves or other people with special powers. And then they have rounds where people are voted, where people are either voted off to kill. The villagers vote to kill wolves. The wolves vote to kill villagers, and he goes in rounds until there's one left standing, or there are more werewolves than villagers, then the werewolves win. If there are more villagers than werewolves at the end, then they win. So each round somebody gets killed off, one or more people get killed off, and it takes 10-15 minutes.
Well, but that sounds like regular werewolf.
Bah! So
what you described is people vote till somebody dies, but how is this different from regular?
This is different because this is the best integration I've seen so far of a smartphone app with board gaming. This has a great app which walks everybody through that. Nobody's confused. Everybody's assigned their roles. Everybody's walked through the game between rounds. Everybody's walked through, and it really absorbs the downtime of I don't know what's happening. Basically, the app helps you determine, hey, this is what's happening. This is what you're supposed to do next. It's very well done. The app is basically integrated with the game very, very well. So this is the app with the game makes it.
Okay, so it's called One Night Werewolf. Is it only one night? Is there only one vote?
No. There's not one vote. Between rounds, basically, the app basically, it's streamlined, it's quick and fast and dirty. Campfire game that people play with Werewolf, which can take a long time because there's a lot of arguing between rounds. But it basically puts a little clock on it and says, hey, let's cut down the downtime. Let's just have the fun of Werewolf, which is who do you think is a werewolf? Who do you think of the villagers between rounds? The app carries along so the game literally can't last more than 15 minutes, so it's great.
So why is it called One Night Werewolf if there's more than one night?
There's not more than one night. It's just, there's voting. There's lots of votes between rounds. It's werewolf, but it's one night means let's hurry up. Let's do the thing. Let's do this thing within 15 minutes.
I still don't get it. I'll have to look at it.
It's great.
Okay, so you ranked this your number 7 game of 2014. Yes. I ranked it haven't played, not interested, because I'm not a big werewolf fan. I always call it that Girl Scout game. The truth is, I could see with the right people where it could be fun, but the experiences I've had, I've just been like, oh yeah, let's get going.
Billy and Sue are arguing. Oh, who gives a crud? Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I see its appeal, but it's just not. And I'm not somebody that's anti-party game, but this is just a game. But Werewolf is just a game I haven't really been interested in.
Well, yeah, Werewolf is always drugged down by a bad moderator, but the app makes the app is the moderator, makes this a really great game.
Okay, well that was Mike's first of 4 honorable mentions, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Next is one of my 2 honorable mentions, Legendary Encounters Alien, the deck building game, I believe is its full name. This is a deck building game, just like every other deck building game, is you start out with a basic set of cards, and then some cards let you fight, some cards let you buy things, and you lay them down, and you try to beat the game. This is fully cooperative. It does have a version where you play against each other, but I'll tell you this, is that when I played it, it was hard. I can't imagine playing with the other players working against you. But one of the things about this game is that the aliens come out and they start sliding down. And when they get to the end and they get revealed, then whoever's turn it is, they're going to attack them. So there is player elimination in this game. People can die. One of the things I like about it is that the way the cooperative works is they have cards that have a coordinate keyword, and those let you help someone on their turn. Not only does it help you, you play a coordinate card, oh, you need a few more attack, oh, you need a few more dollars. You just play that card, and it helps them, and you get to draw back up. But I will say this, the very first, they divide up the game so it plays like the movies. You have one scenario that's set up like the first movie, one that's set up like the second one, and third and fourth. The first one I've never beaten. And it's partly because in most deck building games, you want to get your buying cards early, and then you want to switch over to like fighting cards or ones that are going to let you get points. And what happens in the first one is there's a self-destruct card that if you don't beat it, then everybody takes damage. And it takes buying power, not fighting power. So it happens when people have switched over to the fighting. This game is from Upper Deck, and I actually think they did a pretty good job. The card stock is kind of slim, and the artwork is not that great, but it comes with this neoprene gaming mat that organizes where all your decks of cards go. And the artwork is... These are some of the tamer artworks. This is definitely a gruesome game. But you can see they actually have the actual characters from the movies. And I am an Alien movie fan. I'm a fan of the series, and I even know how to defend, you know, the latter two. In fact, my cat's name is Ripley, based off of this.
That is Ripley. Do they have Bill Paxton character in the game?
Yeah, they have all the major characters.
Game over, man!
You gotta wait till the game's over before you say that, otherwise people are gonna get up and they're gonna be like, "Hey."
You're right. That's why it was on my list. I failed to figure that out.
But I have played this a few times, and the first scenario is tough, but I have beaten some of the other ones. And as cooperative deck builders go, I like it. I ranked it. This was actually my where did I put this? It was my number 10 game, and you put that you liked it.
Yeah. I liked it. It's hella fun because the TikTok and the aliens are coming. Boy, oh boy, RD. Attention.
Okay, Mike's next honorable mention is Xia, Legends of a Drift System. How is this game played?
This game is your basic pick up and deliver game in space, but what makes this game great for me, the experience of 2014, is just when you think, you know, because we've been playing board games for a while, when you think you've just seen everything like, whoa, these components are really great, these components are really great. Oh my lord, these components are great. The customized metal coins, and the minis in this thing, and the metal coins, the triangular metal coins. Oh my lord, it's geek-tastic, this thing. It's fun. It's your basic pick up and deliver. There's five or six basically strategies to win in a pick up deliver. But there's also an aspect where when there's a cop plane that's chasing other people, and one of the hidden things is the sun. And if you do just exploration instead of I'm going to run away and explore, because you know the risk and reward on that, but you flip over the sun and your ship burns up. Oh my, that's fun. But the components are, I mean, I swear to God, they keep raising the bar on components in these games. It's just awesome.
I think this was a Kickstarter. And that's why it's got such a Kickstarter. But if we go back to this page, look at the price of it.
I know.
No, not that. Not that it's $85 to $100. It's out of print.
Yeah,
you can't even get it anymore.
Yeah. Boy RD. If you like components, you like space games. Boy RD. This is a great one.
Well, I wasn't really all that familiar with this game, but when I saw it on your list, you put it at number 6. I put it as haven't played, like to try. Because I do like this kind of game, and I'll tell you, those ship miniatures, it's like pre-painted. You can't beat that. I mean, it just looks good.
I mean, and okay, it does have a bit of downtime, but your downtime, you're literally staring at your minis and all your components going, boy, this is good. Oh, man, this is awesome.
Well, some people do that.
I do, because it's cool. It's great.
Okay, that was Mike's second of his four honorable mentions. Next is my last honorable mention, which is the Descent co-op version, Forgotten Souls. Excuse me. Normally, I would not put a expansion on a top 10 list, but I did for this one because I've played Descent and I like Descent, but Imperial Assault has replaced it for me. I mean, I just have a hard time imagining going back and playing Descent. But this cooperative game that they came out with gives it new life. It's just some cards. It's only costs like $10 to $15, but it's just these cards that you got two kinds of cards. This one on the left here is each one is a location, and it corresponds to something, a section of the dungeon. So you explore the dungeon, you flip the card, it says, oh, these things happen, and then at the bottom of the card it'll say, oh, usually it's some sort of timer that if you don't do things quickly enough, bad things will happen. But what really makes it work without a dungeon master is that, or I forget what they call them in Descent, Overlord, something like that, is this card on the left here is an AI for the monsters. So what they do is they give you 4 types of monsters, and you flip, when it's time for the monsters to act, you just go through the list. And you just try to do things. You start at the top one. For example, in this Flesh Molders, the first thing they'll try to do is spot the hero with the lowest health. That means they will move up to their movement to try to get the hero with the lowest health in their line of sight. If they can't do it, then they move on to the next one. Attack the hero in line of sight who has the lowest health. If they can't do it, they move on to the next one. If a hero is adjacent to this monster, engage the exit of the current encounter. You just keep cycling through them. They still only get 1 attack per turn, just as in regular Descent. But this gives Descent new life to me. For one thing, I can just put everything we need to play a cooperative in the box, and I can just carry it, and it's a 2 to 2.5 hour dungeon crawl, and it's good. I like it.
Did the other Descent have the AI capacity?
No, it's a one against many game.
Oh.
So there's multiple people playing heroes and one person playing the Overlord or Dungeon Lord or whatever they call him, and he's got threat that he can spend to work against the heroes. That's totally done away with, and it's just the 4 heroes working against the dungeon and the AI. But yeah, so there's no AI, it's an actual real intelligence. It's a person controlling them. But again, I normally wouldn't put an expansion on a top 10 list, but I really like this. I've been buying every one that comes out, and it's good. So I put that as actually my number 4 game of the year, and you rated it, haven't played, not interested.
Haven't played, not interested. I'm just not a dungeon crawl person. I'm sorry. I'm not.
That's okay. You don't have to be. Not all of us can be cool.
Dungeon crawl is cool.
Another honorable mention for Mike, 3rd of 4, is Diamonds. Diamonds is a game from Stronghold Games, which is known for putting out games with really good components, and this is really just a card game with some crystals and things.
Yeah.
But it's designed by Mike Fitzgerald, who I believe it's the same person who did all the Mystery Rummy games, Al Capone and Murder in the Rue Morgue and things like that. But it's a trick-taking game. The thing that the twist on the trick-taking game that this puts in there is that, like most trick-taking games, somebody leads a suit, and then if you have to follow suit. But in this game, if you can't follow suit, if you slough a card, sloughing a card has a special power. It might be take a diamond from the center and put it in front of your safe, take one from your safe, put it behind your into your safe, that kind of thing.
That means that it rewards optimal play because there are no bad hands. If you have something as trump and I don't have that trump, then I can optimally play and do stuff even though I'm not winning the trick.
Yeah, but one of the things I found about this game is that the Diamonds suit, the suit that the game is named after, is the most powerful one. Yeah. When you slough that, it's take one from supply into your safe. Mm-hmm. If someone gets a hand that has a lot of diamonds, they have a distinct advantage.
They do.
And so I think that gives a little bit too much of the luck factor, which is why I rated this game I rated it okay. I do think it's okay because I like trick-taking games, but if I was making a top 10 of trick-taking games, this might not make it on there. you put it as your number 10 game.
Yeah, my number 10 game. It's okay, but the other thing I like about this, other than there are no bad hands in the game, the rewards optimal play, is it has a bit of a social thing, kind of a subtext to the social thing. This is obviously the most powerful, but the clubs with the stealing, the game always devolves into, oh, you really should steal from him. He's obviously winning, and that always works. Yeah, it's just fun.
That could be. So that was your number 10,
yeah,
third of 4. Your last honorable mentions, another card game, is Red 7. So I do know, the thing, I have not played this game, but I do know that it's just those 7 different colored suits, numbers 1 through 7, and depending on which card, it changes the rules. But how does it actually work?
That is how it actually works. But between rounds, if you are not winning by the end of your at the end of your card play, then you are out. So you have to be winning whatever rule is in fact when you're out. And what this game is this is a new emerging game category that I like, which is the meta game, which is all these suits and such are basically, well, there's a card game where if you have the highest card, just standard card deck of 52 card games. There's a lot of card games where you have to have the highest number at the end of each round. Okay, and then there's some that a straightest thing. That's like your phase 10, where you have a run or you're out, and you can change your rule to that. So it's basically in the meta card game category, which I enjoy, that people are doing a lot of games now that assume that everybody's played cards, everybody knows all about card games. Here's a card game that's a meta card game where you can change the actual rule of the game in the middle of the thing, and then you can be winning. So you either have to spend an extra card, which is not good, because once you're out of cards, you obviously can't follow suit, and you can't be, the last one out is going to lose. So it's literally a 10-minute game. But it's great because it's a meta card.
I don't know that it is a meta card.
I think it is meta.
No, I look at the list of the ways you win. You stay in the hand. It's either highest card, most of one number, most of one color, most even cards, most different color. You could come up with that never having played a game of cards before in your life.
But
they're basic.
But the enjoyment is for people that play a lot of card games. Like, oh, I get it. When we've been teaching it, people that are way into card games get it, because it's a card game, but it's like a meta card game because you can change the rules in the middle.
If you played Flux, you'll get this game.
Oh Lord!
Play a card.
Don't mention this and Flux in the same sentence.
I don't know. I haven't played it. I did put it as a. And because of that, my Flux impression, I have it as haven't played, not interested. You ranked it as your number 4 game of the year.
Oh yeah, great, because it is in my wheelhouse, son. It's 15 minutes of fun.
Okay, well that's the last of the honorable mentions, and now we're moving on to the top 10.
Carl Chudyk too.
What about Carl Chudyk?
Carl Chudyk is a genius, man, and he's one aside. He did Innovation. He did Glory Rome. He's great.
We are moving on to the top 10 now, and it is actually a top 11. We had a 3-way tie for 9th place. So we actually have 11 games in our top 10 list. So one of the games tied for 9th is Aquasphere. Aquasphere is a Stefan Feld game, plays 2 to 4. It is roughly an hour and a half, 2 hours, although I think it's probably closer to the 2-hour time. The theme is an underwater research lab, but it's very, very light. But it's really, I put programming on there. It's not a programming game. It's a worker placement game.
The operative word here is busy. But I would like to say, I used to think if we were going to do a documentary on the modern board game designer, you would go with Friedman Freeze, because he's got green hair and he's a lot of fun. He's very, very fun to talk to. I mean, of the big popular board game designers, Rosenberg, Rayner's kind of long-term standing. Friedman Freeze. I would go, if they were going to do a documentary on a board game designer, is Stefan Feld, because Stefan Feld is having a moment. Stefan Feld every day is running game mechanics on one side of his head, and then point mechanics on one side of his head, and he's just combining them and combining it. And he throws out a thing, and then somebody says, "But it's got no theme, Stefan Feld." And he goes, "Oh, I'll come up with a theme." And then he's sitting around, and he runs and somebody threw out at some point, run out purple octopi, and he went, "Aha, purple octopi." But the point being is, I find most of Stefan Feld's games is dry as toast. This one is quite silly. It's got purple octopi. It's light. Plus the other thing that evolves this from your normal Stefan Feld point salad is the iconography on here tells exactly when you are supposed to score points. So that is very good. That rates it from being okay to almost to love, because the iconography says, hey, this is when you score points, and it sort of helps it move the game along. But it's point salad, it's Stefan Feld. But I like the silly thing. It works for me, and the mechanics are solid as in every Stefan Feld game.
I disagree that this is a light game. I think it's a medium heavy game with a light theme.
There you go.
But the theme is pretty tacked on. You put ranked as your number 6 game of the year. I put it's just okay in that it's got its merits, but overall as a whole it's a bit fiddly. There's a bit too much randomness. It's just your choices are too limited. I'll play it, but yeah, I don't get very excited about it.
Purple octopi.
Yeah, so that was one of our games tied for 9th, Aquasphere. So the next one is Istanbul, another Euro game. This one is from AEG by Rudiger Dorn. Plays 2 to 5 players, 45 to 60 minutes, and it is pretty much a pick up and deliver game. But the way it plays is that this isn't actually a board, these are tiles that are all put together, and you have a merchant and assistants. To move from one tile to another, you have to be able to leave behind an assistant. So it limits where you can go, and eventually you're going to run out of assistants. And you can either backtrack, or there's a few other ways you can get your assistants back. But it really is mostly pick up stuff here, convert it to points over there. I rank this one as my number 8 game, and you put it as a like. I do like it. I think it's good. I mean, it's right in that medium to medium light Euro game that looks nice, and it plays well.
It plays well. It's pretty dry. It's a bit of a cube pusher, but yeah, it's okay.
Okay, well that was Istanbul. The last game we have tied for 9th is Warhammer 40K Conquest. This is a living card game, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's like the collectible card games, except that there's no randomness. When you buy a part of it, you know exactly what you're going to get. But in this particular game, you have planets out there, which are basically battlefields. So each person is going to be playing cards to those various battlefields, and things will happen, and you're trying to collect a certain number of planets. It's really actually the icons on the planet, a certain number of icons to win the game. This is from Fantasy Flight, and it's only a 2-player game. I called it a weird sci-fi conflict game because the truth is this Warhammer universe is pretty bizarre
and vast and
grotesque, and I mean it's okay, vast. But I nerdy. That's the other thing. I think it's really nerdy. And I've got nothing against nerdy. I do a lot of nerdy.
Have you seen the posters they put up? The posters that are associated with Warhammer?
No, I haven't seen them. But overall, I've been playing this quite a bit. This screen kind of shows you the various planets that you have. It's got 5. You can see that each player has played a certain number of army units out there, and they're going to try to take those planets. But really, the battles only happen in certain circumstances, and you can only win the first planet. That's the only way you can do it. But one of the things I like about this game is I have played Magic the Gathering. And there's a couple things why I think Magic the Gathering is a classic game and it deserves its popularity. But besides the fact that I'm not willing to buy random packs of cards, I have a couple issues with Magic the Gathering. One of which is the way the randomness works in that game, in that to bring cards into play, you have to spend a resource. That resource is mana. and you can get either mana screwed, which means that, you know, after your initial hand you don't draw any more mana, or you can get mana flooded, where you draw too much and not enough cards to play. And of course, people say, oh, well, if you build your decks right, yeah, whatever. That still can happen no matter what. This game gets around that by a couple different things. At each of these planets, there's also, besides the battles that take place, there's command struggles, which the rewards are cards and or resources. Also, at the end of every round, you get 4 resources and 2 cards. So you can't get screwed. You know you're getting a minimum amount every turn. But really, one of the things about this game, why I put it on my top 10 list, was that it's thinky. You really do have to kind of look at your hand and kind of foresee, oh, if I do this, that'll be that, this, and this, and you have to you really have to look at it. I mean, I've lost quite a few times to more experienced players simply because they've got it down. So I like that skill aspect of it. But I know you played it once, but your impression, let's see, what did you rate it? You rated it okay.
It's okay. I like this. The feel for this for me is Core Worlds. I like Core Worlds much better, just because I understand it. It seems to flow more. Like I said, this is thinky and it's Warhammer, and you know I can't get past the Warhammer. I'm sorry, I'm shallow. I can't get past the Warhammer. It's a great game. If I could get past the Warhammer aspect, I can't. I like Core Worlds.
Is it Core Worlds a deck builder?
Yeah, but you're putting.
This is not a deck builder.
You're putting cards against planets. You're trying to win planets, and you get the thing, and then it helps you build the engine to get bigger and better and faster.
It's apples and oranges. One's a deck builder, one's not.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, Core Worlds is not an LCG.
Well, that's Warhammer Conquest, the last of our tied for 9th games. The number 8 game, Lords of Ziddit. Lords of Ziddit, it's from Little Bold. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of any of these designers. 3 to 5 players. It is 75 to 100 minutes. I actually think that might even be a little short. I think it's taken 2 hours a couple times I played it. The theme is fighting monsters, but it's really a themeless game. I just kind of, it's a programming game and pick up and deliver. So the way the game works is that you move around this board and you pick up different colored army men at certain cities, and then you take those army men and deliver them to where the monsters are, and those monsters are defeated by certain colors of army men, and they could put any theme on this.
They should have really used green army men from their youth. That would have been great.
This actually is a re-theme of a game called Himalaya, where I believe you're delivering like yaks and things like that, so the theme really doesn't matter. But what I do like about this game, besides the fact is I think that looks good. I mean, it looks good even if the theme
it looks like a fun game.
Even if the theme is silly. But I like programming games. And this is the heart of this game. Everybody gets these dials and they have to plan out their moves 6 turns at a time. And what these are showing you is, hey, I'm either going to do something where I'm at, I'm going to travel along a red road, I'm going to pause, I'm going to travel along another road. So I like that programming part of it. I think this is an underrated game. I like Robo Rally, and that's another programming game. But the problem with Robo Rally, or I should say, I don't know if it's a problem, but it's frustrating for some people, is that other people can mess up your program. I'm going to move here, and somebody bumps you, and now the rest of your program's executing, and you don't know what's going to happen. In this game, someone can interfere with your programming, but it's not devastating. It's like you are going to pick up. I was going to kill that monster. You killed him ahead of me. I guess I just do nothing, and then you move on and do the rest of your program. I like that part of it. But you've played this a couple times, right?
Yeah, I've played it a couple times. I enjoyed it. Could you go back one slide, please? This is that's the core of the game is the programming, but this is the fun integral aspect as well. Because explain this how that works there.
Yeah, you're right, because this is the other part that makes the game good, is the way the winning conditions work. You're not going for points. What it is that at the beginning there are 3 different
tracks.
Well, there's 3 different things that you measure. It's measuring the number of towers. Who's got the least amount of towers or the fewest towers, the amount of reputation you've earned, and the amount of gold. And rather than just being straight up points, the way it works is what it's showing on the side of the board way over here is that first we're going to look at the number of towers. Whoever's got the fewest towers, you're out. You're done. The next, they're going to move on to reputation, which is a points thing that you earn by putting stuff down on the various parts of the board. And it's the same thing. Of the players that are remaining, whoever's got the fewest amount of points is out. Then, in this particular case, you move on to the last one, gold. Of the 2 remaining players, whoever's got the least amount of gold loses, or alternatively, whoever's got the most gold wins. But I like those winning conditions. There is one caveat to that, though, is that the one that's really easy to calculate for people is number of towers. So even though you're supposed to randomly put out which order they do it, I always make sure towers is not in the first one. Because it's particularly for new players, it's discouraging if there's 4 or 5 turns left to go and they're like, I can't catch up, I'm out. So towers is the only one that happens.
Yeah, because towers is obviously public. The rest you can hide behind your little thing.
That is one thing. But I do like this game. I think it's underrated. I rated it as my number 5 game of the year, and you ranked it as like it.
It's like it.
That made it up our combined number 8. It's a good game. Yeah, I guess that's it about that. So our number 7 game is 5 Tribes. 5 Tribes is a Days of Wonder game, and their quality's always good. Bruno Cathala, 2 to 4 players. It is about an hour-long game. What makes this game good, though, is its Mancala type movement. Yep. The way this game is played is that the game starts with all the people on the board. Then you pick up all the people on a square, and then you can move, but you have to drop off someone in every square you move. In the last one, you have to match at least one guy that's already there. Then you take up all of that colors, and they have various powers, like yellow, or I can't remember which one's which, but some give you points, some let you claim, or let you make the tile worth more. But that is what makes this game good. Or I mean that I like that mechanic, I should say. What makes it good is it's got a great presentation. And it's got an auction for turn order. But what do you like about it?
I like about it is it's rewards optimal play, but it's short enough where well, I guess if somebody was really into AP, it'd be a little bit frustrating. But I like that it rewards optimal play and there's multiple paths to victory.
Yeah, it's you're right. The AP could be an issue with this game. I have played it, and there are certain people that takes. But as the game goes on, your options get fewer and fewer. And the thing that I do think helps the AP is at the beginning of the game, it's often, oh, well, this is my obvious move, this one's the best, so that helps on it. But it could get slowed down by someone that wants to calculate everything out.
What I like about how that balances is you actually are spending, I like a game where you're spending VP in order to get the better position. So say, for example, there's something that's on this AHA, it's worth 21 points. I mean, it's literally like bang, 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 you're going to get 21 points. So you can bid for turn order and hopefully nobody else sees it. If you're the first person, you're going to get 21 points. So you can, you're spending actually VP in order to take this optimal move. But the fun thing is, okay, I took the optimal move, I spent maybe 18 points to get 20. I netted 3 points. Then the guy in the second place, maybe he only gets 12 points, but he netted, it's better. He spent maybe $1 to get 12 points, so he's plus 11. You're only a plus 3. That's, if you keep doing that, you're going to be running out of money, and obviously you're not going to win. So you gotta run that little, and then again there goes your AP.
Yeah, you're right. It does contribute to it, but that is the bidding for turn order is a good part of it for just the reasons you state. Mm-hmm. The one thing some people do complain about this game is one of the commodities in the game is slaves.
Oh yeah.
And I actually kind of agree with that. I mean, it doesn't prevent me from playing the game, but I am like, what were you thinking? Oh, well, it's part of the stories. Yeah, this is the modern world. You shouldn't be trading in humans. And they have come out with, it's like $5. You can buy a pack to replace them with camels. I don't even remember what it is. Or fakirs. Fakirs is what it is.
Whatever it is. Yeah, the theme isn't, I mean, the theme is ridiculous. Why like with the, Istanbul, you're walking through the town and you're dropping off people as you walk through town. Like you do in Istanbul, you're dropping off associates as you're walking through town. It makes no sense, but it had to be, for the game mechanic needed you to drop off something, so you might as well be players or slaves or meeples, or in this case.
Well, we were in agreement on this game.
Yes.
We both ranked it number 7.
Whoa!
So, and that works out to be Number 7 in
Number
our combined
7
list.
in
Imagine
combined
that.
list,
So that was 5 tribes.
Which plays for 4? Everybody asks. That's the first thing people ask. How many does this play for?
You know,
what it's called?
I've never understood why people get bent out of shape about that kind of thing. League of 6 is the same thing. It's like you don't play. I mean, eventually they came out with expansion, but it's like, no, you're not each one member of the league. You're working. Yeah, it's like it's silly to get upset about that kind of thing. Number 6 is Ticket to Ride 10th Anniversary Edition. Again, another Days of Wonder game right in a row. I think most people are familiar with this, but it's a railroad game set collection in that you gather cards and then you lay down cards of a matching color to fill in a route of that color, and you're trying to connect cities. And that, you have cards that give you points. Well, why don't you talk about, you ranked this higher than I did, why don't you talk about why you ranked it highly? Number 2, you ranked this your number 2 game?
Well, obviously, it is. Because it's the 10th anniversary, so it's been out for 10 years, obviously. So if you're not familiar with Ticket to Ride, basically I'd categorize this as the preeminent light strategy game, that player interaction light strategy game that's out there. This is one of my group's premier gateway games. Oh, you want to learn about Euro games? Let's crack this open. So for the 10th anniversary, Days of Wonder, a pretty successful company, they decide 10th anniversary. By God, we're going all out. We're putting all out. We're putting every possible great thing we can make this game as great as can be, and they did it. Man, the trains are good. They got tins, and the trains have, some of the trains are tiny little giraffes sticking out of them. It's just, the map is huge. It's brilliant. They got all the cards from 1910 in there, so you can play the 1910 expansion. Oh my God. And you set it out, and it's just like, you set it out, and immediately anybody who knows anything likes games, they just flock over and goes, that's really great board. Oh, that's really, but it's just Ticket to Ride, and I go, yeah, but look at how great it looks. And they go, oh yeah, I'll play, because it's that great.
Well, I've played Ticket to Ride, and I think it's an okay game. I put this as a, what did I rate it? Haven't played, like to try. And the reason I say that is I've played Ticket to Ride, but I have not played this version. And I can't remember the last time I played Ticket to Ride in person. But if I was going to play in person, this is the version I would want to play. These upgraded components, the large map, but I mean, everything looks, it's Ticket to Ride, only better. It's not a cheap game. I don't know, what was the price on this thing?
About
70 to 80 bucks? Yeah, that's not cheap. And MSRP is, I'm sure, $100. But it's good. One of my disappointments with this game, though, is that I bought the Power Grid Deluxe Edition, and it's the same sort of thing. It's got an extra large board, upgraded components, but in that game, they threw in a couple rules twists, which makes it Power Grid with a twist on it. I don't think this game has any twists. I think it's the basic thing. Like you mentioned, they did put in the 1910 cards, but I have seen people complaining that they didn't actually include the rules.
They did not.
But I will say one thing, is that one of the things that's difficult about playing this game where we live, which is Minnesota, is that Duluth on the map is where Minneapolis-St. Paul is. So they did put this up on there, which says, hey, this is where Duluth really is. But it was, because you bring it out to people and they're like, hey, why is Duluth down there? It should be up on Lake Superior. So I'm grateful that they did that. So you ranked it your number 2 game. I put it, haven't played, like to try. So the 5th game is The Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This is from Bezier Games. Ted Alspach designed it, who has designed Suburbia, which is a game I like. It's a castle building game, and you'll notice I put the type as the slice the pie price setting, and it's tile placement. Well, tile placement is pretty self-explanatory. You buy the various rooms and you connect them up, and they're worth different amount of points, and you have goals for getting this type of room or this size of room. But the slice the pie price setting, what that is, well, this is showing you, hey, here we're putting all the rooms together. They usually actually don't look this nice and neat. They're usually spread way out. But the slice the pie price setting is one of the things I like about this game. In fact, if it didn't have this, if it was just buying the rooms, I probably wouldn't really like it. But whoever's turn it is, they get all these rooms and then they set the price. You can see the price. It goes from $15,000 down to $1,000, and then the other people pay that person to take those tiles. That's the slice the pie. I slice the pie, you choose first, with the added twist of, and you're going to give me the money for your slice of pie. That, I think, is what makes this game.
I agree. What doesn't make this game for me, didn't make my top 10 list because I admit I am not a smart man. I can do the price the pie slice the strategy. That's in my wheelhouse. I can do that. What I cannot do, and so I swear to God, it's not within my brain capacity to do it, is the actual physical hooking up of the round room to the square room to the long hallway. You know, there was put up the nice castle. My castle never looks this good. My castle looks like crap, and I cannot do both things at one time. I cannot slice the pie and give everybody else a thing while making a nice castle. My brain can't do it.
Most castles don't look this nice. I mean, this was put together to show a lot of the rooms, but usually they're just long, sprawly things.
Oh my Lord, my castle looked terrible.
But it's the castles for Mad King Ludwig, so he doesn't care.
If it rewarded crazy castles, I'd win.
Yeah, that doesn't matter if your castle.
Rewards nice castles.
So that's number 5. We're halfway through. Well, a little bit more than halfway since we had 11 games on there. But Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Our number 4 game is Star Realms.
Star Realms.
Star Realms this was a Kickstarter game. It's a 2-player card game similar to Warhammer Conquest in that you're 2 players and you're fighting each other. But this, unlike Warhammer Conquest, is a deck building game. Everybody starts out with the basic cards, you draw them up, and you can either you can buy more cards or you can attack the other person. This was a Kickstarter game, and I actually kickstarted this one.
Oh, wow.
One of the few I did. I've never played with the real cards. I've just played the app. I've never played a real person. But as a 2-player conflict game in the Magic the Gathering type vein, this is good. I mean, I like it. I don't get super excited or anything, but
no, it's great for what it is. 15 minutes of pure fun. The unique aspect of the deck building component is you start off with 40 points, life or hit points or whatever. So you can manage it where you're either attacking or building up defenses, and you're making a deck that works in combination with things, and it has like something analogous to Suits, where they're alien races, that one thing works with the other thing. But what makes it for me is the point you watch the life force go out of the other person, or not so much on your end. So you plan accordingly. Like, this is working against this person. Draft more of these dudes because they don't, and they might not catch up. They might catch up, but that's 15. It's 15 minutes. You either gotta. I'm going to keep doing this to you unless you start drafting these things within the next couple of rounds. So, and they might turn around if they don't, but it's still going to only take 15 minutes. So it's great for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it is. A 2-player conflict. And added to that is the artwork is really good.
Yeah.
I think the whole presentation, every part of it, it's good. It's well done. It's
more power to them.
Yeah, I hope
they did great.
I hope they're successful.
No downside.
So that was our number 4 game. We actually had another tie.
No.
We had a tie for second place.
I'm shocked.
So there's 2 games tied for second. First one is Antique-2.
Antique-2.
Antique-2's from Rio Grande, a Mac Gertz game, 3 to 6 players. It's ancient empire building. So this game is a rondel game, which if you're not familiar, it's a circle that you go around, and you can move around X number of spaces for free. Usually it's 3, and each space might be produce this good or spend a good to produce something else. So in this game, they have these cities that you can see here that all produce something, and you fight each other to take over these territories. And it does have a war game-like aspect, but the name of the game in this is not like Risk, where you build up a big army and you march around the map, because when you fight battles, it costs you guys just as many guys as it costs the other guy. But it's about gaining ancient personages. So if you control X number of territories, you get an ancient personage card. If you get, I think it's 5 territories. And if you get to 10, you get another one. And then you move on and do it like that. And they have it for how many territories you control, how many temples you've built, how many sea territories. There's technology. You can research technology. If you're the first person to research it, you get a card. I like this game. I think that it's it's a 90-minute to 2-hour game that it just plays well. It looks nice. It plays well. I've always had fun with this game.
Yeah, the researching the ancient personages isn't inherently obvious in your first initial play. You think I was thinking the game was more rewarded optimal engine building, but you do the optimal engine building in order to research the ancient personages, and I just maximize my efficiency in the game, which it's a strategy. It's not a winning strategy, but that's what I like to do.
Well, that's one of the things I like about this game is that it's not a game where you have to say, oh, I'm going to do this strategy and I'm going to stick with this strategy all the way through the game. It's one that you can change in midstream. Yeah, I played a game where
I could have and should have done that, but
I played a game where I was like focusing on gold, and then partway through I said, you know what, I'm done with that. I'm not going to get the first on these things. So I switched over to a military, try to take people's temples. I rated this as my number 2 game. You ranked it as liked it.
Liked it. Rather play Navigador or Concordia.
I would. I'd rather play Concordia, but not Navigador.
Oh, I'd rather play Imperial 2030. Matt Gertz.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my man.
Okay, so our other tied for second place game is Sheriff of Nottingham. An Arcade Wonders game that's about medieval smugglers. But the way this game works is that these green cards here are goods and the red cards are contraband. Everybody gets a little bag, and each player will take a turn being the sheriff, and you take your bag and you put in some cards. Then you give that bag to the sheriff, and it's sealed shut. There's a stamp on it. And you tell the sheriff, I've got 3 bread in there. Mm-hmm. And then if he decides to open that bag and you have something other than 3 bread, you have to pay a penalty to the sheriff. If you were telling the truth, then he has to pay a penalty to you. So there's a lot of negotiation in this game. So you rank this your number 1 game.
Number 1.
And why is it the best game of 2014?
People, we have a pretty substantial board game group in the Twin Cities. And people always ask, what's your favorite game to play? And the answer is invariably, it depends on who we're playing with.
Yeah, and I'm going to stop you there.
Yes.
Because
yes,
that's 100% true. I played this game with you.
Yes.
And I liked it.
Yes.
Well, actually, let's back up even a little bit more. This game was hard to get.
Yeah, it was.
But I was playing some games with some friends of mine, and they had one of the few people that got a copy from Gen Con. And they were like, well, we're not really all that keen on it, so I bought it from them. And I played a game with you, and I liked it. Mm-hmm. And then I played a game with other people, and they were just very serious about the game, and it was no fun. So I gave the game to you because I was like, well, I like playing the game with you, so I'd rather have you have the game. So besides, you're right, so I'm just amplifying your point that who you play the game with is important.
So I saw this game being demoed at Gen Con, and this goes to the bigger point of what's your favorite game to play. I saw a group of gamers, people that go to Gen Con, obviously they're hardcore gamers, and the guy's demoing the game, and he did the sample that he did. All right, what do I have in the bag? I have 3 chickens, or do I not have 3 chickens? And they all just simultaneously lit up like bang. Oh, we get the game now. The game is how much BS am I willing to deliver versus how much BS are you willing to accept? Let's find that balance, and each person gets to be the sheriff at least twice during the board game. The game is over. Each person in the game gets to be sheriff twice, and then the game is over, and then you count up your goods and your coins, and whoever wins. But it's all what the sweet part of the game is: how much BS am I willing to accept versus how much am I willing to give? And you're just like, it depends on who's the sheriff. If Evan's the sheriff, I might not get away with much, or I might get away with a lot because Evan gave me when I was sheriff. I don't care what Evan has in the bag. I'll believe him all day long. He might do the same with me, or he might not. This is why this game is great, because it just rewards you playing the other player and having knowing how much flim flam you're going to get away with when it's your turn to do the negotiation.
Yeah.
Great.
So you ranked it number 1. I rated it just okay. And the reason I rated it just okay is points you've already raised. One is, it's only good with some people.
Okay, but any game. Come on.
No, that's not true. Because there's certain games that it's not a person. If people are just playing quietly, it doesn't matter.
They're just dryly playing.
But number 2 is that I'm just not very good at that whole lying thing. I mean, it's funny because I'm a kidder. I kid people a lot, so they think I'm a good liar because I just know how to do that kidding delivery well. But when I know people are going to be questioning the truthfulness of what I'm saying, I'm not very good at it.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I actually don't think this game plays best with the rules as written. The rules as written say the sheriff can negotiate with that. The sheriff has somebody's bag in their hand, and they can negotiate with that player, singular. So only negotiate with that person. Now, of course, people have found that it's more fun if everyone participates in the negotiation. Instead of me being the sheriff and just negotiating with how much will you give me to not open this, having other people say, well, I'll give you $3 if you open that bag, that kind of thing. That makes the game a lot more fun. But that's not the way the rules are written. But people like it so much better that way that they insist that it is. But I'm like, that player, that's singular. That's
not all people like it better that way.
Really?
Yeah, no. That's Bonanza. That's why Bonanza's an all-time favorite because of the very thing. Who's gonna give me the wax beans for my chili bean? You're not talking to him. I'm talking now. I'm sheriff of that. That's why it forms the same sweet spot as Bonanza. I like the game rules as written.
No, I think it's a better game if you let other people. In part because we're more. If you play it as written, where you're only negotiating one person, you can easily just sit there and just tell the truth and just every now and then try to sneak something in. But but if you got somebody else going, especially for a sheriff who's not very assertive, to have someone encourage them to open somebody's bag who are lying. I know he's lying. You got to open that bag. Here's $2.
No.
That's better.
No. We played with passive aggressive people and it was great. I don't know. What you're proposing is pure anarchy. I'm not cats and dogs living together. Anarchy.
I think most people prefer to play it that way, from what I've read, and to the point that people think that's the way the rules are written, even though it's not.
I could run a game like that, but I don't know if anybody else could.
So, but again, it's okay.
Lord,
but because
great.
You ranked it number 1, it still ended up tied for second. If I had said I didn't like it, it would have dropped down. But I can't say I didn't like it. I'll play this game. So, the number 1 game, and this was a number 1 game by far, on our point system.
By far!
On our point system, TK and Sheriff of Nottingham were tied for second with 20 points each. Our number 1 game had 27 points. And that game is...
I wish I could drum roll.
Star Wars Imperial Assault.
Star Wars Imperial Assault.
This is a fantasy flight game. It's 2 to 5 players. It's a sci-fi adventure game. If you don't know what Star Wars is, I don't know.
Can you explain to me the star of Naboo, the planet of Naboo?
But let me talk about how this game is played first. This game is based on the Descent system, where you have one person who plays the bad guys, and they have threat, or I can't remember what they call it in this game, but they spend some resource to bring out more stormtroopers or monsters or even maybe Darth Vader. But it's a scenario-based game in that it'll all be set up. One person's controlling the Empire, and then you have multiple heroes. And it's mostly tactical combat. I mean, you can do, I'm going to attack, I'm going to move this far, and that kind of thing. I've been playing this game quite a bit, and I like it. It's replaced Descent for me. Now, I'm not a Star Wars fan. I probably shouldn't say this in our very first episode, we're going to get hate mail, but I think the Star Wars movies, including the original trilogy, are overrated. I'm not saying they're bad. They're not bad, but they're not great. There's a lot of wooden acting, and C-3PO's jokes are stupid. They have Ewoks. They're just okay. But I am a fan of the Star Wars universe. I'm a fan of. The movies, I can take them or leave them.
Ewoks?
Yeah. So, but this game is set in the Star Wars universe, which I do like. I think that the whole magic system they have of the Jedi stuff works. I think the whole space opera with all the various different types of creature, it works. It works in this game. It is a dungeon crawl just set in the Star Wars universe. And you get to see the characters that are famous in the universe.
Now, this brings up, I know it's not really a chicken or egg, because there were dungeon crawls that came about before or during the Star Wars thing. But I think dungeon crawl aspect was greatly helped by the fact that in Star Wars movies, there are a lot of aspects of running through halls trying to get to where you need to be, and stormtroopers showing up and aiming badly as stormtroopers are wont to do, and shooting the walls. You don't think that coincides with
No, I think that's part of the reason why the movie's overrated. The movies are because they have bad guys that can't hit the side of a barn.
But you think that's a dungeon crawls were like, hey, this is fun. We can let's apply this same scenario to mythos instead of space.
No, I think they have the license, and I think they have the descent system, and let's combine them. But one of the downsides of this game is it is actually kind of tough to be the heroes. I mean, a lot of these missions, you're just like barely hanging on by the skin of your teeth to. It's usually not kill all these people. It's usually go into here, do this, and then go over here and do this. And this, while these bad guys, stormtroopers, and these, I don't even know what they are, some Nexu creatures are pouncing on you and biting you. And, it's tough. That's one thing one of the people I play with say all the time is that, well, it's supposed to be tough for the rebels because that's what the movies are like. The rebels are not, hey, we're just going to go in and shoot everybody. They're small forces that go in and just try to get in and get out. One of the good things about this game is that I'll tell you this: when you're playing and Darth Vader shows up, you go, "Oh my God, it's Darth Vader! Let's get out of here." We've only had it happen once, and we couldn't get out of there. He's so powerful, but we have not yet brought in any of the famous rebel characters, because that is one thing about this game that some people might not like. You're not playing Han Solo, you're not playing Luke Skywalker, you're playing these people, you know, that are just rebels, and there's a Wookiee and there's various things, but Luke Skywalker and Chewbacca and all those people do show up in the game, but they play as your allies. You control them, but it's not your character. So that's good though. But I think the descent system works, and I think this is just the next step in the evolution. They just refined it a little bit more. They refined the powers a little bit more. Again, I do think that it's tough for the rebels. Maybe we have an exceptionally good Empire player, but I think we've won like one mission, maybe two. But there are some of those that you lose, but you don't really lose. Oh, well, if you did this, then it's a partial victory kind of thing. So, but obviously, I rank this as my #1 game, so I like it. You ranked it as your #5 game.
Yeah, #5. I like it too. Well, I want to expand upon what you were saying just a little bit, where you're not a fan of the movies, you're more a fan of the universe. Now, this obviously, somebody, more than a few people at Fantasy Flight after they got the licensing had that same thing. They thought, let's do a game where all the fun stuff that we did when we were playing Star Wars as a kid, let's put that in the game and leave all the bad stuff out. And it's just like, oh, fun stuff. We could be we're running through the hallways, or you know, obviously the X-wing and the series of games that have the airships and the space battles that came first. And this thing came out, and it's just as much fun because it's literally, let's do all the fun stuff we did when we were playing Star Wars as a kid. Let's put that into a game. And this was I mean, like you said, Darth Vader shows up. You go, let's get out of here. Because when you were kids, somebody invariably would jump up and go, or the next door neighbor who was like twice as big as you, he'd put on a red cape and go, I'm Darth Vader. And then you'd all run because there's no way you can.
Why would you have a red cape?
Black cape. Did I say red? What? But the kid had a red cape. And he just was Darth Vader, and he kicked our butts, and
didn't quite get it. But you say yeah, do all the fun stuff there, because some fun. Not everything that happens in this game is fun. I mean, there'll be things like, oh, and by the way, they just blew up a wall and there's a big gun pointing at you.
Yeah, but that's fun too.
It is. It is fun, but
it's pew 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 fun. Come on,
it's fun. It is fun, but in the moment you're like, oh man, what are we gonna do? You know.
But it is fun when the combat system is fun. It's pew pew pew. There's a big gun pointing at you, but you might not die, and then you might, with your last breath, you take a shot and you kill the big bad, and then you're like, oh my god, that was epic, and you would just jump up and down and yell, oh my god, it's so much fun. You just how much it basically reduces you to 10 years old. It's great.
Well. Yes, it reduces you to 10 years old because
Not a
I played with Mike, and I was the guy running the Empire. It was my first time, so I wasn't all that good at it. But the Rebels won.
They did.
So Mike stands up and says, "Suck it, Vader!" And it's like that.
It was excellent.
It's fun. That's fun. That's fun.
The big kid down the block didn't beat me up. We got away, and we just like thought our whole school year was blessed because we won the Star Wars game.
I've not looked. I usually every year on Board Game Geek somebody will do a compilation of all the top 10 lists and then kind of rank them based on what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up as the consensus #1. Maybe not. Maybe there's other games.
Geeks like Star Wars. Hello.
Yeah, it is Star Wars, and it's a good game.
Oh my lord, it's fun.
I will say one other downside to it though is that by the time all said and done, I'm gonna spend hundreds of dollars on this.
Oh yeah,
because
I can't buy it. I won't allow myself. It'll take over my life. I'm not gonna paint it or anything.
I mean, the online price for the base game is $70 to $80. I've already bought extra dice.
Yep.
And then they come out with ally packs and hero packs, and you don't need to buy them. The gameplay's fine, but you just have tokens instead of actual figures. But yeah, I like it. It's a good game. I'm committed. I'm committed. Fantasy Flight's going to get quite a bit of my money over the next few years for this. Okay, well that's it. That's our. This is the top 10 edition. This is our first one. Yeah, we know it's kind of rough sometimes, but yeah, we're learning. Stick with us. Hopefully we'll get better. But that's it for this one. So long, and hope to see you next time.
See you next time.